Hey guys, it's Maymay, and if you saw our live show on Thursday night, I showed you how to make this folio, and you guys said you'd like to have a standalone video. Sometimes it's hard to follow along in the live show, so that's what today is. We're going to make this guy together, and I promised a different closure, so stick around. I'll show you that at the end, how we're going to change the closure up a bit. So let's build the folio. This one's a fun one. It's super easy. It's a little bit different than what we've done before. You're going to need 4 pieces of 8.5 by 11. That's what I'm going to start with, okay, and your scoreboard. Now, your first piece of 8.5 by 11, you do not have to cut at all. We're going to use the whole sheet. Now, you guys asked me, because this was hard to see on my scoreboard, to give you the line. So I'm going to show you this really quick, and then we're going to start cutting. All your measurements and things will be in the blog post below, so don't stress about having to keep up with that. We'll have it done for you. But on this page, we're going to score at 3/4, 1 1/4, 7.5, and 8. So that's what I'm going to do really quick. So 3/4. And it's crazy. I love this paper. Also 1 1/4. This paper pack I'm going to use today, I'll show you in just a few minutes. It's gorgeous. I love it. And this paper just goes perfect with it, this cream color. And I was going to use a different paper for video. Now we're going to do 8. I was going to use a different paper so you guys could see it really well, but I just got to use it. But look how much it matches my scoreboard. Crazy, huh? All right, so let me lay this here one more time. If you want to take a screenshot, you can grab that. And we might even have these in the blog post. If I can get these to Tamitha to do that, we'll get these photos in for you. All right, so there's that one. Now what I need you to do is get another piece of your 8.5 by 11, and I want you to cut it down to 8.5 by 8.5. So we're going to make a square here, okay? And I'm going to put that into my scoreboard, and we're going to make one score mark at 6 1/4. So all we got to do, 6 1/4. So I'm going to do that one here, and then those other 2 pieces that you have, those other 2 pieces of your 8.5 by 11, you need to cut 2 strips. And they are going to be 6 by 11, 6 by 11. That's the 2 strips you need. So that's 4 pieces of cardstock all together. And we're going to put this guy into our scoreboard. And we're going to score it here. We're going to score it at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 5, and 9. Okay? So let me do that really quick. We're going to do 1/2 inch, 1, 5, and then 9. Y'all, this is such a fun, fast folio. Literally, you can put this together. The folio part can be put together in minutes, and then you can do this for a gift, whatever you want. You can spend more time on your decorating because it doesn't take long to put this guy together, and I love that. I think I jumped. I did. I hit my thumb there. All right, and then 5 and 9, and then we'll start building. So let's start with these guys first. I'm going to leave this here. I may even just slide this up a little bit so you can see the lines I'm talking about. So we need to fold all of these lines inward, okay? So we're going to start with our first line down here, which is our 9 inch, and I'm going to fold it in toward the middle of the cardstock. I'm running my scoreboard down the side. I've done a video showing you guys that little trick. I find that sometimes when my fold doesn't fold perfectly straight, if I slide my bone folder down the side, it just kind of straightens up that score for me. So that's what I did there. Now again, I want to go to this middle line, and we're going to fold it in. This one should cause this piece to line up at this line. Let me slide this down a little bit. So you folded this one first, then you folded this one, and we're folding in, okay? And so this next fold should cause this piece to line up right here. Put that back there for a second. And I'm just gonna hold that in place and then score that down. And I am kind of telling it this is where I want you to score. I kind of went just on the inside of that score line on purpose. So we got these all folded inward. Now I want to fold these lines in also. So these 2 little lines here, we're going to fold in. We're going to start with our 1 inch. I'm going to slide that bone folder down to clean that up. This end needs a little more cleanup. Then I can get it nice and crisp. And then I'm going to do that little 1/2 inch folded in as well. Sometimes it's easier to hold it this way to get it started. Now, somebody mentioned this other day, and I usually tell you guys this too, but I have been missing telling you this. You can use the edge of your table to help you get really good scores. I have done that myself. I just try not to do that when I'm on camera because I need you guys to see what I'm doing. But if you want to put this on the edge of your table and get a good crisp score by using the edge of the table to help you do that, that's a good idea. All right, so you can see everything folded in and all of this folds in, and that's what we're creating, okay? We're going to do that on the second piece just the same. So I'm going to do this one real quick, and we'll get right back together. Now for this guy, let me get my clean sheet. I almost just used that one. Would be fine because I'm going to hide it, but I want to save that for photos. For this guy, we're going to fold one score. Just that guy. We're going to fold him up, line up that edge, do our little cleanup slide. And there we go. So that's all we got to do to that one. And then our final one, this will be the full sheet that we did. I'll bring this in so it looks like this. I'm just going to slide this up so you can see the lines, okay? And I'm going to start with this line, and I just want to fold it in. Fold it in and crease. And then I'm going to do this next line, which is the second part of our spine. This is creating that top section of our folio, I mean. So this is going to be like our closure. That's what we've just created right there. Now I want to do the same thing with these two. I just want to fold them in just the same. And I'm going to start with that shortest one, or the first one, I should say. Get that folded. And then the second one. I love making these things. I just love taking paper and turning it into a keepsake like this. I just love it. And I'm finding more and more, since we're doing this year of folio situation, I'm finding more and more uses for folios. I'm just like, I know everybody's like, but I don't do pictures, but there's so many other things you can do. You can make them as journals, turn them into your notebooks for the day, your to-do list. You can put a legal pad in them. There's so many things you can do with them. All right, let's bring our pieces back over. Now I am gonna pause here. Just for a second, I'll tell you why. On this folder I did last night, I did this border punch situation, and I adore it, okay? And I wanna do that on this one as well. That's why I gave myself such a long flap to close. You don't have to do this. Or if you just have a regular border punch, if you just have some in your stash like this, this is such a good place to go ahead and do that. I'm gonna use that new We Are tool we used last night. Well, my live show was last night for me, but Thursday night for you guys. I love this tool so much. I'm gonna use this border punch alignment tool. I'm gonna slide this over. I find that it works best if I go from right to left. I'm going to bring you guys a standalone video of this guy and talk about him and everything. But let me show you what I want to use today, what punch I want to use. So since we used that other punch with the other folio we did Thursday night, I thought we would play with this one and do a little bit different. Just to let you know, when you purchase this alignment tool, the other punch, the one that I showed you first on that folio, comes with it. So it does come with one punch. These are extra, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I've got the punch in. I tell you what, I'll leave that so you can see. I'm going to lift this little ledge up, and there's magnet on both sides. You see that? I love that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that folio closure section, okay, and I'm going to slide it up in here. And what I'm doing, someone asked this last night, and it's a really good question. I'm pushing it to this edge, which is an alignment at lip, basically. It stops the page. And then I'm pushing it as far in as it'll go here. Then I'm going to close this down. And this magnet is so great. It's nice and firm, and it holds your paper super, super tight. Now, this guy, what it is made for is leverage. It's to give you leverage to push this down. So I'm going to punch the first one. And then, you don't have to lift this back, but I want you to be able to see. I found last night when I lifted it back, you guys could see better what's happening when you then push this over. And now I want you to listen. Did you hear that click? There's these little holes, and it clicks into place and holds still for you. So now I'm going to do it again. The only thing I caution you on, and I'm doing this just so you can see, you don't have to lift this up every time, okay? The only thing I caution you on is make sure you punch every one. Last night I skipped one on accident, and it's important that you go in order. So going like that. Again, you don't have to lift it up. Just want you to see it as it moves. All right, let's do it again. Look how beautiful that punch is. All right, last time. I won't lift it this time. Let it click in. And I do want to show you this. Do you see how little I'm punching now? But that will end off our punch for us. And now what you do is you lift this guy up and slide this out, and look at that beautiful edge that we have for this folio. Isn't that stunning? I just love it. And we're probably going to use some more with this guy as we get going. This is going to be a folio friend. Like, I love it for that. Let me show you something else before we go away. The little offshoots here, these are stunning. These are little branches. There's little branches. There's also little stars. See those? And there was another branch. There's two different kinds of branches here. So you can totally use these all by themselves. I would not get rid of these. I'd get myself a little cup, plastic bag, something like that, and throw those in it, because I can see me at Christmas or sometime making little wreaths out of those on cards. So cute. These guys, you might want to keep them. I'm not going to. I'm going to let these be my offshoots, but these right here, I think these are great to keep. So with our edge punched, let's go ahead now and assemble this guy. So this is our closing flap. This is our first spine. Now we're working down here, and I'm going to use my little lined piece to show you where we're working. So remember, this is what we folded, okay? So here I have these two lines, which are these two lines. So as I point to a line, you'll know what I'm working with, okay? I want to glue this guy onto here, okay? And I'm going to glue him on the back. Here's what that means. This is going to be a pocket. So that one's going to get glued down like this. I want to glue the back of this to the inside of here. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. Now this is a great place for either tool you want to use, sticky tape or wet glue. I think I'll use sticky tape today only because I want to show you different ways of using things. This is a spot where it doesn't really matter. It's not like super important which one you use, but I'm going to use sticky tape just so we can see something a little different. So I'm going to put that down. Another thing about sticky tape that's really great is you know it's going to cover every bit of the card that you're putting it on, you know, the cardstock. And you can know for sure that it's going to hold every spot. So we'll tear that off. Now this is going to overlap a tiny bit. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and reveal that backer. Just like this. And then I'm going to take my next strip of tape and I'm going to put it right beneath that score mark we're fixing to line this guy up to. And it's going to overlap my first piece. That's not a big deal. Then I'm just going to tear that. This piece that's hanging over, don't stress, we'll tuck it over. We'll tuck it around and use it to our advantage. All right, pull that off. So see how it's hanging over the edge? I just pick it up and pull it back in and just tuck it into what we have there. All right, now I'm going to turn this back sideways. What I'm going to do, remember, the pocket goes to the right-hand side when you install. So if I flip this over, that pocket's right there. This page, I'm going to lay it. Let me use the one I've colored because it's hard to see. I'm going to lay it just inside this score line and flap that over and close it down. So I'm going to lay this down just inside that score line. Make sure you're nice and lined up on the edges, okay? You can even lift this and push this into that little fold as it comes over. Then I'm going to press it down. Now, burnish this, okay? Burnish that sticky tape. It'll help it to be so smooth. And look how that becomes like almost one piece. Like you don't really see that line. And by the time we do all our decorating, you're really not going to see it. Now let's go ahead and turn this into a pocket, okay? It's going to be a 3-sided glue, or actually a 2-sided because this is already closed up for us here. So I'm just going to put glue here and on the other end. Now let me talk to you about this, okay? I'm not using sticky tape here. If you took our folio class, you'll know why, or I hope that you will. I hope you picked that up. But we're not using sticky tape here because I want what I slide into here to stay and not get stuck on my adhesive on the edges, okay? If I were to use sticky tape, when I go to slide things in and out, it will catch on that tape as it's going in and out of the pocket. But this way, that glue dries and it won't catch. Also, I typically tell you to do a little pinch to give you some lift here, but because of where this pocket is going to be, because it's going to be like this, I really don't want it to be too loose. Now, my album is going to hold anything I put in there when it's closed. It'll hold it in, but don't give that too much wiggle room, so what you put in will be kind of snug, okay? All right, now for this section. Now, I got to show you where this is, okay? This 8.5 by 11 piece that we scored, we are now working inside of this section, okay? Not in the spines. I want you to ignore those. We're going to work in this area here, okay? So these pieces that we made earlier that folded into themselves, we're going to stick them down using this little edge, okay? I'm going to use wet glue here. Now here's my thought on this. I'm using wet glue because it gives me a little bit of a second to move this around, to wiggle it into place, okay? If I use sticky tape, I get what I get. But this gives me a little bit of time to wiggle it in. Now, paying attention to this bottom score line, okay? I want this to land right above that score line. It's not going to go all the way to the score line at the top. I'll show you what I mean. Let me get it laid down, and then I'll move my hand. Get that in there, okay? So it doesn't go all the way to the score line here. You can see how there's a little bit of space between the two. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to get any resistance, okay? So that's why when you line it up, line it close to the bottom, but not overlapping your score. And then let's burnish that as well. Let's get that in there good. And that becomes your side little opener situation. I don't know what we're gonna call it, little pocket flap side. Okay, so then we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna add our glue, and we're going to install it on the other side. And we want that score line situation to be the same, okay? So I'm gonna pay attention to this one down here, and that's where I'm gonna install closest to. And wherever it lands at the top is where it lands. Now, one thing I did do in my previous one is I paid attention to these guys and tried to get them lined up together. So see how I'm just kind of pushing that to where they line up here at the bottom? Just like that, so they land the same on both sides, and then burnish. Y'all, that's the folio. We just got one more thing to do, and then we can start decorating. How fun is that, right? Here's the thing we gotta do. Inside these guys, these are pockets as well. So I'm gonna put a little glue here, and a little glue here, and close that down. Now, you could add another page here. We've had somebody ask me, you know, how do we add extra pages? What can we do? This little flap that we have left over here, you could totally cut another piece this size, or even a piece this size, score it in half, and then glue it onto here and continue your fold under. So where we just have the two, that's a great place to add another one. Let's do the other side. And then our folio is put together and we can decorate. Can you believe how fast we got to decorating? That was quick. Now for decorating today, the paper I want to use is the paper called Flea Market. I've told you I've been wanting to make a folio for my friend at Rustic Relics, Missy, that owns that store. She started teaching classes, and I think it'll be cool for her to be able to have a place to put pictures of the classes that she's teaching, just to give her a little memento of this time of her life. And I want to use that Flea Market paper to make it happen. So I am not going to put a magnet on here yet. Now I will tell you why. I promised you guys a different closure, and I have something in mind, so you won't see me put a magnet on here yet. I may still use a magnet, just maybe not where we traditionally do, okay? So let me get the paper and get the pieces cut to fit on here. Now let me tell you why I'm gonna do that. Because I already did this I did this last night on this one, I know my sizes of the paper I need. So I'm gonna go ahead and pre-cut them and then stick them on with us and let you guys see me do that. And on the blog post, we'll have those measurements for you too, so you can do the same thing. So let me get the paper cut and we'll start to assemble it. So let's start covering this guy. And I'm gonna start with the front cover. I chose a piece that I think is perfect. This reminds me of Missy because she redoes furniture, and she'll even take things like this and just paint them and make them beautiful and just gorgeous. It's so pretty. And so this reminds me of her. I'm going to leave some of this in. I usually stick the pages down and kind of cut away and come back, but you guys have asked me to kind of let you see that process a little more. So anything that I'm kind of duplicating, I'll cut out. But if we're putting something down for the first time, we'll talk about it while I do it. So this piece is going to go here, and what I'm going to do, I think you guys just really want to kind of see it in more real time, if that makes sense. I'm going to open this up and lay this down so I can press on my work surface to get that pushed into place. So there's that. Remember, I didn't put a magnet. I got a plan for a magnet in a different way. And at this point, I don't even know if it's going to work, but we're going to try. I know I can make a closure. Here's what I'll say. Worst case scenario, I know I can do a belly band, so I'm going to try my idea. So that's going to go there. Now, I want to show you this. As you know, I'm using this border here, and I love this border. I think it's beautiful, but you can see how I kind of lose it when it lays down here. So I want to back this page. Now, I will give you this measurement in case you use this same border. However, there's a chance you won't, right? So what I want to show you is how you come up with what you're putting underneath here so this will pop. What I did was I just took my ruler and laid it underneath to see about how much room I have left over here to add a piece behind it. And I don't have to go all the way to that edge. I just want to glue a piece behind here that will kind of hang over. And you have a couple options. You can do this where you're just mounting it just like this. I just think that's so pretty. I think that just makes that border pop. But like I did on the one I already did, you can also punch it again with your border punch and do that where it kind of offsets and gives that little lacy look. I don't want to offset this one. I really like how this looks. I want to be able to see it nice and firm behind there. And double of all of this, it gives it extra stability. So even better, right? So here's how I did this before. I'm gonna put glue in all the sections I can here, but this section, I don't wanna put a bunch of glue here and that'll start drying while I'm putting glue here. I'm gonna use sticky tape here so that doesn't happen. So what I wanna do is see, I want it to go this way. I wanna see where I need to put my sticky tape to, like where I need to stop. So let me lift this up and look. That's too far, let's bring it back. Let's see, about like that is what I'm looking for. So goodness, I can go almost all the way to the edge, so we're good. So I'm gonna put some sticky tape on. So that way, any glue I put right here, it won't be drying while I'm doing these little dotty bits. And right here, I'm gonna put glue wherever I can. There's a lot more places here to put glue than you realize. Just come in here and anywhere that glue will sit, put some dots, it'll be plenty. You don't really have to get every little spot, just as much as you can. Let's put some in here. Okay, so now I'm gonna peel that little, I'm gonna reveal that sticky tape, which I probably should have done already, because now those little dots are starting to dry, but it's fine, we got time. We have a little bit of time. There we go. I'll tuck that onto there. Get this one off. Now we can stick this guy down. And I know I can go almost all the way to that score mark because I checked it out before. So I'm gonna put it right here and start to get it lined up. Kind of line it up on one end first and just kind of work my way down. Now I feel like I'm gonna have a little edge hangover, not a big deal. I can trim that off when I flip it over and look on the other side. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that pretty? And I know it's cutting off this little bit, but I'm not gonna stress about it. It's just the little radio in the teacup. It'll be fine. And if you do have any hanging over the edge, just take your scissors and snip that away. All right, so that's that. Let's keep adding pieces. So I cut a little strip, this little floral strip. I've cut it to put it right here. I think that'll be a cute spot for it, and it'll give us a little bit of flowers up there. So I'm gonna glue that down right there. You could even do this. Look, you're spoiled for choice with this paper pack. So cute, but I'm gonna do the floral. So there's that, and now I'm gonna open the inside and start putting stuff in here. Let's go into the very center. This guy is gonna get mounted here. I think that is the prettiest piece of floral, so gorgeous. You're gonna notice that I'm not matchy-matching this. I'm gonna let it be very, very much just pieces and parts of the paper. But the reason for that is I feel like the antique store has so many things to offer, or the flea market. There's so many different things that I'm not really looking for everything to just match, match, match. I love that the paper pack coordinates, but I'm not looking for everything to be like, you know, the same here, etc. So like on these side pieces, I've cut several and I'm just gonna place them in. Now I do have sort of a plan here, okay? I like this camera piece and I like this piece as well because this will let pictures really pop. My thought is right here on this little door space, I may let them match either by using this or the cameras, one or the other. I don't know which one yet, but I think it'll be cute to have this match so it'll be a little cohesive. But in here, I'm not worried about matching. So let's just put them down. Now for these little guys, they're gonna get 2 pieces each, and I'll show you what I chose. I love this one with the plates on it. I think it's so pretty. I want it to go here. And then I want this little plaid piece to live right inside here. Now the reason I chose to lay them out this way, when you put something in the pocket, for me, I think it's cuter when whatever's in there lays on a solid. I know this plaid is not a solid, but it's not as patterned as say this. If this was over here and then I had like a tag stuck in here and it was laid on the plates, it would be a little bit busy. Not that the plaid won't be, but it's a different kind of busy. So that's why I'm laying them out this way. So I'm gonna glue these down here. And I'm doing it the same way on both sides. Now you don't have to. Again, I told you in some places I'll let it matchy match and in some places I won't. For me, this was more of a paper saver situation. I really liked the way this looked, and rather than cut into another whole piece to kind of get this similar look, I just went with this. I'd already cut a strip to this height, so then I just cut the strips down, and so I'm kind of just saving paper this way. And I told you I wanted to put something here, but I wasn't sure what. I want to do something before I do that. This is kind of a design idea. Before I stick something here, I'm going to go down here. I've already cut the pieces for this, and I want to make sure that what I put here doesn't clash or match too much with that. I knew I had chosen the cameras for down here, and so I don't want to do too much camera or too much pink. So let me put this down and I'll show you what I mean. So you see the pink is down here. So I think rather than using these cameras up here like I had originally kind of thought about doing, because it's way too much camera, I think I'm gonna do pink, and that also allows me to use some other ephemera bits and photos and things here without it being too busy. Okay, so with the exception of these little pieces in here, let me show you. With the exception of these strips being covered, that's all the paper I'm gonna put down for now. I'm gonna wait to do these because a lot of times I'll have little strips or scraps left over that I can put here. So I'm just gonna let those be the last thing I do. And now we can start decorating. But In this video today, I want to show you the closure I want to do, okay? And then if you guys would like to see me decorate this, possibly even with the photos, tell me in the comments. Many times you guys don't care to see that, and then some of you do. So we'll just gauge it on how many likes this video gets and how many comments you tell me, please show us the decorating of the folio as well, and then we can do a part 2. But for today, let's do a closure, and I want to do something different. Okay, you guys, I may have said I wanted to do a belt closure because at first that's what I was thinking. So if I said it, I meant it then, and then I had an idea. So I want this to feel a little vintage, and I think this might be a cool way to do it. One of the folios that we've had in our store before closes with a string and that little mechanism that does the little figure 8 situation, and I want to try to do that. Now here's the deal. I'm going to show you what my brain says will make that happen. You might watch me do this and go, wow, Maymay, there's a much easier way to do that. And there could be, but this is how I'm going to do it because I want it to be sturdy and to last. And this is my plan. Okay. So bear with me. If there's a better way, go for that one, but I'm going to try it this way. So I'm taking a 1 1/4 circle punch. I'm going to punch 2 or 3 of this size. You'll notice this cardstock is just coordinating. It's just something I had in my stash. It's just American Crafts that matches. So it's not part of the paper pack, but it matches really well. It's what we actually use to put behind the border punch. So let me see what I've got. My thought process is this. I want this to lift off the page a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe that's enough for that. So I'm just gonna do the 2 of that. Okay. Then what I want to do is I want to do 2 more. Well, I'll do 4 of these. So 2 for each latch. You'll see why in a minute. I'm telling you, I'm working this out in my brain as we go. Okay, and I don't think I can get another one. Well, I can come pretty close if I hold my mouth right. All right, so that's 3. So I need another little scrap. All right, so I've got 2, 2, 2, and 2. Now I need one other thing. Now I've got 6 of these that are 3/4 of an inch round, okay? Again, bear with me. It's just what's in my brain. So what I'm gonna do with these guys is I want to glue them together. So I'm just gonna put a circle of glue there and just make these 2 thick, is not TOO, but TWO thick, 2 thicknesses, okay? So that's what I'm doing with these. Now I wanna do the same with these. Now basically what that's doing is just making these sturdier for me because I want them to last over time. Now these guys are gonna be a spacer for me, okay? So what I wanna do is I wanna glue 3 of these together. You could do this with foam. I have done this with foam, and I have done it with just single circles in the past instead of doing all this extra, but I want this to be sturdy. So that's why I'm spending a little more time on it and putting a little more effort into it. So 3 of these together. Foam will work, and foam will put the distance that I want between these guys, but it also kind of wears out over time with the string wrapping around it. And if I'm gonna spend the time to put my friends' photos in this book, I want it to, you know, last as long as possible. All right, so the next thing I need to do is I need to punch a hole. Okay, you guessed it, I'm gonna use my Crop-A-Dile, and I'm gonna use the bigger hole this time, okay? So I have moved my little slider piece on the side to 1/2 inch, okay? So that means this inch piece, when I put it in, it goes to the middle. Now I also found earlier, I'm gonna hold that still like that. I also found earlier that that's not quite the center. I did it a while ago and it wasn't exactly the center. So I'm gonna slide this back just a little tick, just the tiniest bit, just about right there, and see if I feel like that's more the center. That's too low. Let's try that. That felt like it clicked in good. That feels better. Now I'm gonna eyeball the center. This will not be perfect. Get the best that you can, okay? Hey, that's pretty good, pretty good. Now what I'll do is I'll put these guys together so I can line that up the same. And I'm gonna just hover over where I did my last one. So now I've got holes in the same spot, okay? So there's those 2. Now I wanna take these guys and put holes in them, but not yet. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and glue this to this. You'll see why. There's a method. Again, I may be overkilling this, but I really do want this to last, and I really want it to be sturdy. So what I want to do is I want to glue this on top of here like so, and I'm going to do that on both of them. I'll just go around this circle this time and put this guy on. Doesn't have to be exactly the center, but you want it to kind of be the center. What this is going to do is lift these guys off of each other. That's the plan, so the string can wrap around. Now, The string will probably go underneath even more because we'll probably have a little more distance, and that's okay. I just wanted them to have a little lift so we weren't kind of ripping and tearing at that. So now I'm going to put another hole in. And the reason I'm doing my holes kind of this way and not all at one time is because I just want to take my time and try to get them pretty accurate. Now what I want to do is I want to lay this on top of here like this, center it as best I can. Then I'm just going to trace that hole there, get that pretty centered. Just stick my pencil in and find that hole. I used to do this back in the day when I didn't have a lot of tools and a lot of what I wanted. Like you might could even buy these pieces. I don't know. I did not look. You might could buy these little mechanisms. But if you don't, there's always a way to kind of use your paper and engineer what you're looking for. All right, now we're going to get an eyelet. I'm going to do these kind of vintage looking ones, these kind of antique looking ones. I'm going to stack this on top of each other just like this, and then I'm going to feed this through both. And making that super thick really helps. Isn't that looking nice and sturdy? I think it is. In my brain, this is going to work. We'll see. So I want to make sure I tell you this. I'm putting that riser piece in the middle. I just wanted it to give a little distance and keep its body over time. All right, so those are together, and now we can squish our eyelet. That's the technical term? Now I want to tell you something about these guys. Here's the trick I've learned. Don't put them in and just squeeze them super fast. Kind of go slow and kind of pay attention. If you squeeze them super fast, they tend to just split. They're gonna split somewhat, but I don't want it to be really, really, really bad. All right, that looks good. That did well. That looks good. It's nice and flat on the back. Not too bad at all. All right, let's do the other one. So those look really good to me. Did it seem like a lot of work? It really wasn't. I just wanted you to be able to tell what I was doing. Now I want to use some pink twine. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run this inside of here. I'm probably even going to glue it in, but let's do a little test run real quick. I'll run this inside, and I want to tie a knot. That may not need any glue at all. It's pretty sturdy in there. Let's just tie a little knot here on one end. And that should sink down into that spacer we made. Can you see kind of where my thought process was? I knew I was going to be using a thicker twine too, so that was part of it. You could use a thinner twine. You could. You still could do that, even with it like this, even making it like this. Okay, so I've got that there. Now I'm going to snip this off. Now, when I install this, I think it is important that we put the knot, I'll show you right here. I think it's important we put the knot facing down, okay? Because we're gonna figure eight this, so I wanna be able to go here, miss the knot, here, miss the knot. Does that make sense? The bottom one won't get a knot, okay? So let's put the other one down here so you can see how this is gonna work. Do you see that? They're gonna get glued in this way, and it's gonna twist, lock, like that. I don't know how much twine I'm gonna need, so I'm gonna give myself way more than I need. And I'll trim that back and we can use that somewhere else in the book. Let's glue this on. I'm very nervous. I've never done this. We're just trying this together. I wanted to do something different. We have lots of different closures out there, but I want to see how this one goes. You know, should I sticky tape it? Maybe I should. Let's sticky tape it and see how that helps. So I've not covered the whole back. I've just got a lot of sticky tape in there, and I'm going to use glue to help it. Trying to get the glue right to the edge. And I'm also just going to run through here. What can it hurt to have extra glue, right? All right, now you're going to want to know where the middle is. Let's put our ruler on it. Look how picky I'm being, you guys. Let's do the centering ruler. Let's do 4 1/4 on either side, so I can see where that needs to go. The knot at the bottom. So this is my center. Let's put this guy down. I'm going to peek at it. That looks good. And now I'm going to press. Pressing the glue in and pressing the sticky tape at the same time. That is a very sturdy closure. That is what I wanted. I want this to last for a long, long time. I want people to be able to open and close it, no issue. So that should do that. And now let's bring this guy over. You could do more. You could decorate behind it and all that kind of stuff, but I think this is cute. You could make it smaller. If it's too big for you, you can do that. I just wanted to see how this went, and I think this is a good size, but you could make it smaller. Let's do the same thing. Sticky tape and glue this one in place. All right, now for the real test, let's test it out. So I'm gonna stick this string under. You will have to kind of get it started the first couple of times, but it'll wear in over time. See how we put that other one up there and it helped? So look, you really won't need more. You won't even need that much. You really don't need that much of this. So I'm going to cut this away at the bottom. about like that. And if it frays over time, that'll be fine too. But look at that. Isn't that a neat, different way to do it? So now we can open it like this and then open up our book, and it feels a little vintage to me. I just kind of like this. You don't even have to go back around the top. You can just do it like that and have it shut. But for the most part, these are like those figure 8 locks. So I just kind of like it like that, and I think that is cute. All right, it's a different closure. Can you see what I did wrong? I did not get them lined up correctly, so pay attention to that. See, mine's a little bit off center here because I think that I had this guy pushed this way when I did it, okay? So pay attention to that. We learned something together. That won't bother me, but it'll bother everybody now that I've pointed it out, and I apologize for that. I'll put more things and decorate it and make it not be so obvious. So that's a different closure, you guys. You wanted to see something different, and I tried that. I like it. You may have another idea for how to make that happen, but when you're using that thicker twine, I really think that works, and it's super tight. It's super sturdy. So I hope that gives you another idea in making your folios. Now, again, if you would like to see me finish this guy out, decorate it up, and put some pictures in it, tell me that in the comments below. And if that's something you want to see, we'll film that when we do that process too. Probably should have tied a knot there. I'm looking at it thinking, probably should have tied a knot on the end. I may go back and do that. Another thing I probably should have did, look, all the probablys, I probably should have like looked online to see what these look like before I just created my own, but I didn't. I did it from memory. So this is what we get. So there we go, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe. Give this video a big old thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And until next time, bye now.